Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Voiced by Matt show. My name is Matt Bertho. I'm your host. And today we have Stefan Walter with us. I'm going to let Stefan kind of do his intro and tell us about who he is and what he does in the world. Welcome to the show, Stefan.
Thanks for having me, Matt. I'm Stefan Walter. I'm an entrepreneurial by trade. I own several different companies. I started my first business about 14 years ago. And it's really thrived and done a lot for me personally and my family.
14 years.
Yeah, it's 2013 I started.
Holy moly, man.
Yeah, so since then, we've really evolved and, we started with different companies now. And now it's really honestly turning the camera on ourselves versus shooting other people on an influencer level and traveling the country and working with different companies and people and brands all on the mental health and visionary side and where do you want to be in life and how do you get there and pretty much the journey aspect of what we're all searching for.
I love that, man. So, what are some of the businesses that you have, man?
Okay. So my first company, which is my bread and butter, which is GoodLuckStef Productions, started in 2013. Uh, when I got married, moved out of my house for the first time at 18, my dad, who I have a great relationship with, but he's always been very skeptical of my ideas and creativity. And he pretty much said, I don't know what's going to happen to you in life, but good luck, Steph. And sarcastically, I turned around.
Oh,
I said, I'm going to use that one day. And then when I started my company, I was like, what am I going to call it? And then my dad's voice popped into my head. So with Good Luck Step Productions, we work on a business to business scale. We work with everybody from Fortune 500 companies to major networks to nonprofits, organizations. I mean, anybody you can really think of on a B2B space. And we specialize in sales and marketing. So a lot of our clients are looking to advertise or create a voice for their audience or get connected in some way. Our platforms are obviously cable TV, jumbotrons, movie theaters for ad space, all the way down to your social media. So if you've seen a Monday Night Football commercial, you may have seen our commercial if you're in the
wow.
Washington area.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, so with that, it's me and my wife. We have a bunch of team members that work with us. And, right now I'm actually kind of getting ready to the exit stage of my company where I'm not leaving it, but I'm replacing myself so I can go focus on other ventures. And my other venture right now is Madman Plant, which is all about cannabis home growing. And since in Virginia it's legal to grow here,
Oh, wow.
we
I didn't know
will.
that.
Yep. We can have four plants, and you can smoke recreational here. And we dive into mental health and cannabis on a wide range of topics, all the way from like rape and incest
Wow.
to fentanyl addiction to
Wow.
alcohol addiction, all the way down to somebody that's just retired and wants to start growing to, somebody my age or younger who's just passionate about cannabis and the stories that we tell and just the way that we're able to kind of open people up and have that true honest conversation. So and when we started, we were a products company, and our first year of business we did just under $30,000 in sales out of my basement with three 3D printers. We're in
Yeah.
four different countries with consumers. But what we wanted to do was get a little bit more connected with our community. So we put the products on the back burner and are transitioning ourselves from a products company to an educational company. So we still have our own products and we still make our own stuff. But instead of servicing the world, we're servicing our community. And
Ah,
so this year we got 18 stops on the road show. And we're going to be in 18 states. Most months we'll be in two states in 1 month. Sitting down with people. We have national sponsors on sponsorship level that are magazine companies, nutrient companies, all types of different people who see the same value. And it's really about getting connected. And it's using what I've done for the last 14 years, which is video production, marketing, sales,
hmm.
advertisement, and turning it into a space where I can truly connect with people on an influencer and brand level. So instead of having to just shoot Nike's commercial. Well, guess what? Nike's paying me to inspire and educate other people. I'm not affiliated with Nike, they're just an example.
Yeah.
But that's the idea, is to really get out of Virginia and to create a national brand. And then soon our podcast is in 14 different countries, with Australia being our second listening country.
That's
They
cool.
legalized recreational this year in Victoria. So I definitely want to get out there. And then me being Romanian, I want to get back to Romania because I was adopted when I was 2 out of an orphanage.
Wow. That's amazing, man.
Mhm.
So, Stefan, give us kind of, you have a unique voice. Um, where did you find the courage to start speaking your truth?
Well, okay, so a lot of it's always come from wanting to be a motivational speaker and a speaker in general. I've just always loved that like appearance and lifestyle. And now that I'm in the perfect position, I'm entering into it. But I think really, throughout my whole life, I've been able to engage in conversations like this with people on a very deep level with a very short time of knowing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think where I really got inspired was when I was younger. I once attempted suicide, and it really changed my life.
Mm.
And I didn't actually do it. I actually took myself to Universal Studios, Florida, and spent a week there instead. And this was when I was 14 years old. And
Wow.
another which you can listen to, I'll dive more into that, that full story of it. But when I kind of survived that, it gave me a different way of thinking and seeing the world. And I started to really focus on like who I am, what's my purpose, the value, why we're all here.
Good.
And right after I almost died in a car accident in 2020, a semi truck T-boned another car, spun that car out
Man.
miles an hour. I hit that car as it was essentially leaving the highway,
Oh
and
man.
we landed up in a ditch upside down. And it was me, my wife, my child, and my wife's mom. And
Oh.
all of us walked out of there without a single even scratch. Like
Whoa.
the doors popped right open and we literally walked out. When I show you the pictures, even the police said we expected to walk up to dead bodies. And the guy we hit, which was in a really old Honda, I mean, he did have $250,000 worth of medical bills, but he survived. Everybody lived. You know what I mean? And it was just amazing. It was from that
Oh.
point, 20, where I went through a really bad depression and really heavy anxiety, a lot of survivor's guilt, figuring out like, why am I still here? I should be dead, all this. And then it just occurred to me as like, you know, I live my life. I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm not living my life. My life revolves around Virginia, and where I serve, and I
Huh.
go out of times as well, but my whole hub is in this area. And I was like, I'm becoming a modern day slave to my own business because I'm
Huh.
just so it. And then that's when I was like, you know what? I'm creating a 10-year plan. In 10 years, I step away. So in 10 years, I have to get everybody in place to replace me so I can go do other things because I don't want to
Mm.
do this anymore, and not in a
Yeah.
bad way. It's just I want to now give people the opportunity to learn, experience, and grow within my own company. And I want to take on something totally different in a new light. So now I create that multiple sources of income. And now, it's still my brand, still my name, but I think that next level of evolution is employing somebody else, giving somebody a life, saying, I got to take my family to Disney World because of this company.
Man, that's
This company's
amazing.
treated me good. And to be in a position where you were once the worker, then the leader, and now you become almost an outsider to your own business. I just
Mm.
feel like that's the evolutional steps that
Yeah.
really get you to see everything that you work so hard for. Because what I do see a lot in businesses, people live and die in their businesses. They don't understand the scalability and their growth.
Right.
So what happens is they start decaying, or they'll just hit their bandwidth and nothing ever comes from it again,
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm trying to avoid. And with the mindset of life and where I am and how I want to be and what is really living is truly just change that, where it's like no, I need to leave here. I need to go see what the rest of the world is. I need to communicate with people who I've
Mm-hmm.
never met before,
Yep.
and see what living is. And we just connected with a nonprofit called the Mesa Project in Arizona. Each year, they feed 59,000 homeless people. They
Wow.
also go to the border and help with immigrants. Now, they don't help them get over the border, but they provide water and food. And in Arizona, in about less than 3 weeks, we're going to be with them and we're going to be doing a Narcan run. And we're going to go out in the middle of the night with the nonprofit, and that gets Narcan given to them by the government. And go meet and talk with real addicts on the street. And he said some
Wow.
of they will run up to you and say, "Hey, can I please have some Narcan? I'll be back in 10 minutes." Literally go to an alley, take the Narcan, and then literally save themselves just so they can go shoot up again tomorrow. And
Whoa.
that's the value of what the podcast and what I'm trying to do
Well,
is
hey, Stefan, I don't know what Narcan is. What is it?
okay, so like fentanyl or overdosing,
Okay.
Narcan will bring you back. So it immediately kills the overdose. So, like, let's say, unfortunately, maybe you were a fentanyl addict or a heroin addict. You start to OD. I hit you with Narcan, and that's going to snap you out of that OD immediately. It's going to stop what the
Wow.
was
Yeah, I
doing to
knew
the
nothing about that.
yeah. Yeah, police have it, EMS have it. And I used to be a volunteer firefighter. We always had it on the truck with us because a lot of the cases when you have chest pains or people are going in and out, usually were associated with some type of overdose if it
Hmm.
wasn't like heart related. Because 90% of the ambulance calls are all like heart related, like
Yeah.
somebody has chest pain or somebody feels weak or whatever. So
So, Stefan, when you were at DC, you had a beautiful dog with you.
yeah.
Can you talk to us about the dog?
Yeah, so when I got prescribed all the depression meds and anxiety meds back in early 2020, it started to change me in a person. It started to kind of make me like a zombie. I just didn't feel right. And honestly, I thought that some of the habits that I was forming were getting worse, like heavier anxiety,
Yeah.
heavier depression, and
Yeah.
I didn't feel like a light. So
Wow.
I went to the doctor and I said, none of this stuff is working, taking myself off of it because I'm a cannabis person. I smoke cannabis. I use cannabis, daily for mental health, appetite, pain, all that. And it's the only thing I use. I don't use anything else. I barely drink, and I was like, I'm going back to smoking. And the doctor was like, listen, I really don't think that's a good idea with all the things that you have going on right now. She's like, there are other options. And I was like, I'm open if they're not pharmaceutical because I don't believe in it.
Hmm.
And he's like, what about a service animal? And I was like, never heard of it. And she said, service animal is a dog that's personally trained to work with you. So the dog actually has tasks and learns those tasks to assist you. So we got a letter from my doctor. I went out to an animal shelter, and this is where it gets magical. And with that letter, we went to the shelter. Let me see if Honey's outside my door real quick.
Yeah. So while he's doing that, it's a beautiful, beautiful big dog. I believe it's a pit bull, correct? I think it's a pit bull. Um, and just the sweetest, sweetest dog. Oh, there he is.
There
Yep.
she is. So
Oh,
this is
she.
Honey. Yep. Honey on duty. You can follow her on Instagram and Facebook where you can learn about her journey. It's all from her point of view as if she's telling you the story. Anyways, we went to the shelter and I had picked out another dog. They told me the dog that I wanted would be too hyper, would take too much training, and would take years to be able to be in the position to be out in public. But I was in the front lobby, didn't look at any other dogs that day. And they're like, but we have the perfect dog for you. We'll bring her out. They brought Honey out. We spent 30 minutes together in a little a greeting room. I did an attempt to adopt. So I took her immediately to Ferry Farm, the animal hospital, spent like close to like $500, had every single test that they could do on her done. She came back spot clean, not one thing wrong with her. A day later, I signed her adoption papers, and we've been together ever since. Last year, Honey was in 8 states, including Las Vegas, on 10 airplanes. This year, she'll be in 18 states and on over 30 airplanes. Honey rides with me on the airplane. So we go through security together. She sits at my feet on the airplane. We get off. I don't have to crate her. And we
Wow.
go everywhere together. Like yesterday, my wife had a surgery. Honey was with us in the ER, in the surgical room where, my wife was put,
Yeah.
whether I go to the courthouse, whether I go out to eat. Honey's always with me. And Honey is a psychological service dog. So she has a trainer. That trainer worked with her, and some of Honey's tasks are tactile redirection, behavior assessment, deep pressure therapy,
Wow.
and behavior assessment. So she can actually assess what's going on with me, my mood, my attitude, and can intervene. So, like deep pressure therapy is like, let's say I'm getting really emotional, things are starting to go south. Honey will either lay on me or lay next to me, and she'll start licking my face and putting her head on my chest
Oh,
and works with me. Tactile redirection is I pick my hands a lot and create open sores because of anxiety.
yeah.
So if I pick my hands, Honey will see that and she will go and start moving her hands between my her head between my hands, interrupting that bad behavior. And then right now we're also working on her med management where throughout the day, it's not for depression, it's my acid reflux meds. She's being trained throughout the day to get them for me when the alarm goes off because I have to take.
Whoa.
So when the alarm goes off, she will actually go get the meds and then bring them to me. So it's pretty.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the difference between like a service animal and like an emotional support animal, where the animal is just designed to just make you feel good.
Yeah.
Honey has actually been trained to pay attention to me and react to me
That's
on different
amazing.
tasks.
And what breed is Honey?
He's a pit bull.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
And as a pit bull, a lot of people have a lot of concerns or maybe like questions or skepticism. And I can tell you this, I've met more pity lovers than anybody else. And a lot of people credit her fast training. Like in the first 2 months or 3 months, if you look at Honey's page that we were together, she was on her first airplane. I'd never been
Mm.
on an airplane with an animal before. We worked with her briefly with my trainer just to tuck under his, had no idea what was going to happen, had no idea how she would react. And there's no real way of knowing until you do it. And she sleeps the whole time on the airplane like that, pretty much. And it's fine. Like 2 weeks, we'll be in LA. She'll be in LA with us. A week after that, we're in Arizona. 2 weeks after that, we're in Boston.
Wow.
So, yeah, she has to be good. And like I said, the only thing I do worry about is they're naturally known to be gassy. So, every once in a while, and I'm gonna have to take blame for that because I don't want them blaming the dog. I'm like, listen, they had the Mexican restaurant, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's funny. So
So,
growing up, it sounds like you've been through a lot. Where do you think the depression and anxiety stemmed from?
when I was really young, I got picked on a lot. I was really a loner. I didn't really have many friends growing up. Spent a lot of time by myself.
Yeah.
I used to get bullied a lot. I'm still the same height and weight I was in high school, which is 5'7", 127 pounds. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Um, I think a lot of it also dealt with not knowing who you are. And this is why
Mm.
I talk about entrepreneurism so much and the value of that, because um it's almost like a learned language. You have to learn the confidence to to go out in the world, to
Yep.
sell a product, to hustle, to be consistent,
Yep.
to deal with rejections, to see that as a positive, to keep moving forward. But also too, it gives you something to chase. And
Yep.
I think a lot of times we don't know what to chase in our lives because a lot of times maybe we don't know what we're good at. I didn't know what I was good at when I was younger. I had an idea. I actually, spent $60,000 right out at 18, moved to Florida for 2 years and went to Wildtech, the motorcycle school. And I have a degree in engineering and mechanics for Harley Davidson. I've worked at two Harley dealers,
Dude,
motorcycles, engines,
that's
transmissions.
amazing.
Yeah. But do I do it anymore? No, I own
No.
my own. But it was one of those things where I think too is um in life, and this is what I'm trying to educate people on, is you have to understand that it's all time periods. Things
Mm.
change, right?
Yes.
So how you feel today, how you look at yourself today is not how you're going to look at yourself in 5 years.
Yep.
There's like that quote that says, we are where we wanted to be 5 years ago today. You know what I mean? And you have to look at it as a sense that when you invest in you, that depression, that anxiety, all of that worry about what the world thinks, it kind of dissolves because you're
Mm.
so focused on your dream, your passion, the way you're going to influence the world, your connections, that
Yes.
I think it builds a confidence. And I
Yep.
think the one of the real ways that I grew out of that old behavior of I don't know who I am, I don't know my purpose, I should die,
Oh man.
like not good enough, blah blah blah.
Yep.
Really transpired when I started my first company. Now that was at um I was 2013, so I was like 22, 23 at the time. You know what I mean? So it was a while ago. But even when I did that, I was dumped and left on the side of the road in Arizona. I'd be right before Christmas.
Man.
Fiancés who did not believe in my dream, who wanted me to work at Walmart because it was a safe job and a paycheck.
Oh,
And I told her that it would all work out, and she didn't believe me. And that's why at my other podcast, if you listen to it, this has 13 feathers, and this is my ex because she's dead to me. And yeah, and she left me on the side of the road, and I had to get from Fort Huachuca back to Phoenix. It took me 6 hours because it's a 6 hours trip.
good
And
night.
when I got back, I was devastated. This is just when I was starting my company. I was brand new, and I took all that hurt, all
Ugh.
that frustration, all that pain, and I put it into my company instead of anything else, and it paid off tremendously. And I think that's also too is the thing is you have to have the mindset for this. This is a forward thinking mindset. This is
Yep.
something that you need to plan, that you need to stay consistent with,
Yep.
and it really does not involve anybody else. And I hate to say it, but that includes loved ones.
Mm.
Arnold Schwarzenegger used to dump girlfriends if they interfered with his work regimen for working out and competing. He talks about that.
Yeah.
Like they move on in no time. And I think in the same aspect with outsiders, naysayers, your own family,
Yep.
people that they got to go because it's toxicity, and that conscious pays attention to that unconscious, and it gets filtered through. Like the other day I was in the car and I got really irritable because I saw somebody in a restaurant that I'm no longer friends with, and it just made me feel really like it made me feel really indifferent. I felt
Yeah.
really off because he was there, right? And then
Right.
I got in the car and I started all these negative thoughts, and
Mm.
then I had to stop myself, and I was like, dude, wait a minute, you're on a projection right now. You're about to travel all over the country. You got this going on, this going on. If you let the universe know that you're putting out this energy, that could affect what the universe has planned for you, because the
Mm.
universe doesn't care about your drama. It cares
Mm.
about your success, your internal, your
Yeah.
your passion, your drive. So when you go ahead, like my therapist tells me, there's two people inside you. You have the good person that's going to take you to the next level, and you have that bad person that wants you to stay exactly where you are, that comfort zone, right?
Yep.
And you're feeding two people every single day with everything that comes into your life.
Wow.
As on the average, I think maybe it was said in the BNL that we make 37,000 decisions a day,
Yep.
said or whatever.
Yep.
And you're feeding those two people off those 37,000 decisions.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things where you got to keep yourself right, because you might see somebody, you might read something, like you might feel something, but what does that do to you? You're killing the machine at that point. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what they do, they don't have access to the machine. And that's the same thing with the suicide and that's why now I don't see the value of suicide, because at the end of the day, you are the machine. So
Mm.
why would the person who invented the machine be the one to kill it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man, that's great. That's great, Stefan. So, what would be something, because I want to give, people an opportunity to work with you. What how could people work with you right now? Like as far as business wise, like what are some opportunities, ways they can get in touch with you? What are some things that they can do to reach out to you and maybe do some work with you?
Well, we own a production company. We work in all 50 states. We have contracts throughout, all the way from Connecticut all the way down to Florida. So if you have a business and you're looking to create cash flow or influence or communication through your business, we have a bunch of different packages and different abilities. Plus, if you go to our website, goodluckstef.com, you can see all the big videos that we've done with big brands like Washington Post, Fox 5, Comcast, Cox Communications, BET, MTV, HGTV, all the way down to your small startup, mom and pop shops. And then right now we're looking for national brand sponsors in the digital space whose clients serve all 50 states that might want to invest in our podcast or roadshow. We're about to take that off. We already have some sponsors, but we're always looking for more, and we're looking for people outside of the cannabis space. Maybe you own a hub for, people leaving their 9 to 5, and, you offer a program plan, or, you offer some subscription thing, something that, makes sense. But, really just getting engaged with the communication, the conversation that we're really trying to have. And the fact that I think we need to motivate each other in a professional space to go out and to seek out these great things. Being at B&L is great because, you have all these multi-million-dollar people in the room, and they all have a story, and most of them started from nothing. And that's the thing, that's the biggest thing, that I like to encourage people is this idea that you have to be someone or have to start with a team or start with something is bullshit.
Yeah.
There's people who start. I have a friend who owns a Lamborghini, 7 different cars, has 3 different big houses. 2020 had $0 to his name.
Hmm.
2023 is a multi-millionaire, and it took
Wow.
three. That's how fast it got. REI Reply, which is a wholesale place for real estate investors. This guy in 1999 got out in 1999 for serving 9 years in federal prison for racketeering, cannabis possession, money laundering, you name it, and totally turned his life around. Failed at 2 different companies right before 2020. Put his last dollar into his last company, and now works 3 to 4 hours a week, doing $400 to $500,000 a month,
Wow,
and doesn't
man.
think about it. And he's my mentor. He's
That's
someone else I
amazing.
have chess night with every Wednesday, that I learn from. I think that too is the circle of influence, who you talk to, who you
Yep.
get connected with, who's speaking into your ear, what your friend is doing is
Yep.
important, and not looking at his competition, but looking at his influence. Well, if my buddy just made 100,000, well, I want to make $200,000 in my own company, and then
Yeah.
we're going to go out to dinner to celebrate making a couple $100,000 off of our clients together. And I think collaboration is so important, and not being scared to go up to the person that you want to be, like with my mentor, and said, listen, I like everything about you. I like your lifestyle. I like the way you
Hmm.
live your life. I like the car you drive. I like that house you drive. I like the way you talk about business. Will you be my mentor? Or can I pay you to be my mentor? And really look at people, because people are always like, read books, read books. But the writing's on the wall when you're in front of somebody,
Yep.
their entire life, and you're going to get things that aren't just in the book that everyone got to read, and those are those individual personal experiences.
That's
I
right.
wanted to, which I can send to you real quick, but
All right.
check this out. So, and during Christmas I got a bunch of videos from my dad. Hold on, let me pause this real quick. um on a hard drive, ranging through
Yeah.
my stuff from Romania that I've never seen, because my parents couldn't have kids. So they flew to Romania, and I was one of the first babies to be adopted when they killed the leader. I was found in an orphanage where they
Wow.
changed you once a day. You were, their cribs were tied together. Well, in 2013, I made this video to myself. And my dad, and it was in a bunch of files. And my dad found it and sent it to myself. And in this video, I'm congratulating myself for all the things that I've done and all the accomplishments, right?
Whoa.
Well, at the very end of the video, I say, and Stefan, remember, you make dreams happen. And
Huh.
I think the biggest thing, to go back to your first question, was the whole purpose is making good. Hold on. I don't want to show you my bank card.
Yeah. You wanna
I thought this was a free podcast.
yeah.
You make dreams happen, Steve.
Oh, I
So
love that.
I think it's also, now that I saw that, and I got this like just after Christmas this year, um, it's inspired me because a lot of times I was like, why am I doing this? And
Yep.
then I watched that video to myself talking about how I make dreams happen. And it was just like that's it. That what you're doing is to make good on that 13-year-old promise to
Yes,
yourself,
sir.
13-year-old that's still inside of you.
Man, that's beautiful. What a good way to wrap this up too. It's full circle. It's like there's this innate part of us that always knows what we're supposed to do. Just having the courage to actually do it is the hardest part. And
Yeah.
so well done, Stefan. Well done, man. Um, is there anything you'd like to leave us with before we close out?
I guess mainly, like I mean it's repetitive, but you got to believe in yourself. And I think
Yep.
the hardest thing to do in life is to see things before they happen. And I
Yes.
think you need to be somewhat naive to your
Yep.
own dream ambitions. I think you need to be childish. I
Yep.
think sometimes a little bit reckless and impulsive because even if it doesn't work out, it's the experiences that allow you to get the confidence and the courage to go the next thing.
Yes.
And so many people I just see they come in overnight, they have a great idea, it doesn't work out for them, they meet somebody they don't like, it's not
Yep.
what they thought it was, they're not getting the time off that they wanted because they own their own company now, they're not
Mm-hmm.
making the $1 million the first couple years in business, and they quit.
Yeah.
And in politics aside, there's a voice by Donald Trump that said, I've seen so many great people quit. And if they'd only just stayed on, they would have made it, but they
Hmm.
just quit.
Yeah.
And it's so true as I think the white towel is something just so easy to grab for. I really encourage you, like The Power of One More, like the book that was given out at BNL. That story is about his dad who quit drinking. And he said, Dad, do you always think that you'll be sober? And the dad said to him, I don't know, son, but I can promise you I'll be sober for one day more.
That's right.
He later started his company, the guy that wrote that book, The Power of One More. He told his dad, Man, I don't think that this is working out. I think I'm going to quit. And his dad said, just give it one more day,
Yep.
one more.
Yep.
And because of that, that book exists and that success story exists. And that's the thing is, it's like going to a casino. You're not probably going to win all the time. And that's the point of this. The
Yep.
point is not the financials, it's the person you're developing. Who do you want to be in 50 years from now? What does that look like? Who does that talk like? So
Yes. What's your
that's what I want
legacy?
to see
Yep.
people with is it's all in here. And if it's
Yep.
not in here, it'll never get to here and it'll never get to here.
That's right. It's got to be in your heart, then your head, then you could put it out there.
Yeah.
Well, Stefan, man, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and sharing your voice and your goals and your dreams and your visions. I look forward to visiting you when I'm in Virginia in real life and doing the podcast in real life with you. Um,
Yeah. And we can't wait to sit you down. We got a great location. We have two locations that allow us to shoot our podcast in there. One's called the Workshop, really organic space. And they build wood, which is perfect because we're all building from the ground up. So
I
we're all
love
better.
that. I love that. All right, man. Well, we will talk to you soon, hopefully, when I'm in
Yes.
Virginia. And go check out Good Luck Steph Productions. I just looked them up. Go ahead.
Madmanplant.com.
Matt, say that one more time.
Madmanplant.com.
Madmanplant.com.
That's me.
Got it. So madmanplant.com, goodlucksteph.com, correct? And look him up and give him some work. He's ready to do some work with you. And thank you so much for being on the show, Stefan. And I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me on the show. I really enjoyed your keynote speech, and you yourself are just a tremendous person. I can't wait to tell your story. So it was awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, bro. Talk soon. See you guys
Bye-bye.
next week.